Hello and welcome to episode 14 of Tom's Hirschsprung's podcast. I have a very special guest this week. Special for me in terms of he's my first sporting professional guest. So in terms of me, it's very, very exciting. My guest this week is professional golfer Andy Browne. Andy, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks, Tommy. Thanks for having me on, and we'll probably have a good chat today and talk lots about sport, IBD, and whatever else we can come up with.
Fantastic, excellent. We've got plenty of time to cover, so we'll cover plenty of topics in that time. Before we go into the IBD and your medical history, I'd like to take it from the very beginning. And as you are a professional golfer, when did you start playing golf?
Well, I started when I was 16. I was a bit late to playing golf. I used to play football when I was younger, and when I was kind of at the stage at 16 when I was playing on a team. I felt the lads I was playing weren't as committed as I was, and like I say, they weren't showing up to training or the matches. And then a few times I had to play in goal. I used to be a winger or a striker, and also the manager I had at the time, I didn't get on with too well, because the manager before him I got on really well with, and he kind of built the team around me. And then unfortunately he had family problems and he had to leave, and this new guy came in and we just didn't see eye to eye at all. And I just knew football was not going to go my way, so I said I wanted to still play some sport because I was just always so sporty. And my three uncles always watched golf a lot, and one even plays in Swords Golf Club back in Dublin. So I took up golf and didn't have any real expectations of going as far as I did with it. But so that's how it all started golf-wise for me when I was 16. 27 now, 11 years later.
Been playing for a while.
Yeah.
Did you immediately take to golf? Did you immediately think, hang on, I'm quite good at this? Or did it happen more sort of in progression?
Well, when I first started, I used to go to my local range. It was only, about a 2-minute drive from me and the golf course. And short game was always very good. Chipping and putting, I seemed to be a natural at that. It's just came natural to me. Then I drove the ball really well. And then I remember my first handicap I got was 20. Well, mine was so nothing good about a 20 handicapper, I tell you.
I'll take it.
But then I kind of, as being young, I got a good coach when I first started out. My first coach, Carl Kelly, who now lives in China. He was very good with me. He progressed very quick. I saw him once a week, and just my game was just getting better and better every week. And eventually I actually went out to 22 then after the first few months, because I just wasn't settling into the golf club too well. And then in about a 4-month period, I went from 22 to 13. To be honest, I wasn't really a 22 handicapper when I was 22. I just wasn't playing well when it came to competitions to get my handicap down.
Okay.
Then it went down to 13, and then the winter came in, and then you can't change your handicap during the winter. Well, I know there's a new handicap system now, which I don't know much about, because obviously being a pro, it's none of my business.
Not anymore.
Well, all the lads I do know say it's a very complicated system. It's probably a bit unfair how certain people play, but I don't know personally. But I went from 13, and then the following year I was doing my leaving cert in Ireland. This is what you might call your GCSEs in England, I'm not sure. You're just before you go to college. And I was also working part-time in the golf club as well, so it was a very busy year. And then I kind of only lost one shot that year. I actually went out to 15 that year, then back down to 12. But my swing-wise, I improved really well. I got the club in better positions, going back and coming through. But then the next year I really kicked on. I went from 12 to, I think, 3 or something like that. But then unfortunately that year is the year I first got, I had my first surgery then that year. Well, that's about 2015 or so.
Yep.
So, and I was really bad. I almost didn't make it even into the surgery room. I was that bad at the time. So that's kind of like the first sort of part of how I started playing.
So so you almost sort of just started your career as such, and then sort of 2015 hits, and then you start to feel sort of some sort of Crohn's like IBD like symptoms. Did you go sort of to the doctor straight away, or did you do the typical sort of that type of age type thing and go, I'll be all right, I'll be fine, I'll get through it?
Yeah, I was kind of just like, oh, I thought I had the flu or something, because at the time in the winter, I was working a lot in the driving range, and as you know, in winter, so you pick up a lot of colds and coughs and flus, especially when you're working in a mucky environment like that. And I remember working at the range, I had no appetite at all, and I was pissing and shitting every few 20, 30 minutes. I just felt, oh, geez, hopefully this will pass soon. And then eventually my appetite went altogether. Then I started to bleed. It's like, oh, fuck, I need to go and do something about this. So I remember I worked my last day in the range on a Sunday, and the Monday morning I was in A&E, and it wasn't seen too well on the first try on the Monday. Because even I remember my boss texted me out wanting me to do some work the Wednesday morning, unplugging golf balls in the driving range so they can get collected properly. And he goes, oh, and then someone must have told him I wasn't well, because a few of the members saw me on the Sunday, and he kind of knew I wasn't well, the way I was acting. And he just said, how was your health at the end of the message? So I rang him and told him where I was, and he told me not to come in until I'm sorted, So, to be honest, I can't remember much about the first A&E visit on Monday, but I went back again, so nothing really helped. So I went back again on the Friday, and I got a colonoscopy, which was a lovely experience.
Oh dear.
I got diagnosed with severe ulcerative colitis at the time, and got referred to the IBD clinic in the Mater Hospital in Dublin. And I was put on Mesovan, the big tablets there, like the size of golf balls.
Yeah.
4 hours down a day, which was always very hard to. That really takes your gag reflex if you have one. But then, yeah, things kind of settled down. Then from there, I went back to work. I was working part time in the club and practicing as much as I could. And then I kind of left the part time job to focus solely on golf in the summer. And then September hit, and I had the same symptoms again, but a lot worse. Bleeding out a lot more, no appetite, couldn't barely walk or move. So eventually I went back into A&E and got admitted more or less straight away to hospital, trying to figure out what was going on. Just couldn't eat anything, couldn't keep anything down, couldn't stay out of the bathroom. But I even remember they gave me a sheet to track how many times I went in an hour, and I literally went, I'd say 35 times in the hour. So like people
barely got out.
Exactly, yeah. As soon as I got out, got back into the bed, I was getting back up and going back in, And I just, in the space of 11 days, I lost 4 stone. Went from 9 stone to 5 stone. And I was literally skin and bone, and came to the stage. I went down, in the time I had loads of tests done, colonoscopies through the one down the mouth and through, loads every day and everything. They just couldn't figure out what was going on. And then on the 11th of September, today, when I had the surgery, all of a sudden I was really bad. I was like basically struggling to keep my eyes open. I went down. I remember the head of the department, Professor McMahon at the time. He was well known in Dublin for being a specialist in the field. He was close to going home, but he was doing my colonoscopy. Literally, I always remember the screen was like, say, I'm looking this way, the screen's that way, he's behind me with a nurse doing the procedure. And as you probably, I don't know if you've had a colonoscopy yourself.
No, I don't believe so, no.
So there's a screen in front, so you see what's going on.
Oh,
so
no.
You've seen it, you told yourself, which is a bit of a weird experience. But I remember he was doing it, and all of a sudden he pulled it out, and I looked behind, and all I see is the door open, and he's gone. I'm just fucking hell, what's going on here? And then the nurse, I'll always remember, the nurse turns to me and goes, I think that went really well. I was like, oh, all right. And then I'm brought back up to the ward, and then all hell breaks loose, and the nurse is trying to give me, them 40-sip drinks to try and build me up a bit. All of a sudden, someone comes in, says something to her, and she whips it out of my hand and goes, "Oh, you have to go down for surgery, like, right now." Up. And like, then a doctor comes in and goes, "Oh, you're very close to, like, die." I say, "If you got down, we need to do this right now, where your colon's going to burst and you're going to die." Oh, fuck. And then I remember I rang my mum and dad at the time, who were going to come in and visit me a few hours there, because visiting was not too far away, visiting times, and I was on the phone crying, and I was like, I'm going to die. And just, "Oh no, I'll be coming in, and we're coming in now." And because the hospital isn't too far from my house, it's only like 5-minute drive. And so they came in, and by that time there was the head of the IBD department was there, the head of surgery was there, the surgeons who were going to do it, there's nurses, there's about 20 people in the room, and then there's 2 other guys either side of me in their beds, just like, patients as well, looking at all this fucking madness going on. And at the time, I didn't have a clue what it was. I just knew I was going for surgery. I was so nearly fading. I was just fading away, really, at the time. I had no idea what was going on. And so the surgeon was talking to my dad about what was happening. And I remember the gurney came in to bring me down to the surgery. And my dad had to pick me. I couldn't roll from, literally, they had it lay it on my bed and the gurney bed to bring me down. I couldn't even roll like this to get onto the bed. I was so weak. My dad picked me up, and he told me later on, I was like picking up a grape. I was so white. Literally just not ready to. He literally just picked me up and went, "Okay." So I went down at the surgery, and I remember I woke up in the A&E. No, sorry, not the A&E, the high dependency unit. It was night time at this stage, about 3 or 4 in the morning after the surgery. And it was really dark, like I couldn't see a yard in front of me. It was so dark. And the first thing I thought to myself was, "Oh fuck, I'm dead." It also, that nurse came out of nowhere from behind me. He goes, "Andrew, how are you?" Blah, 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 blah. He goes, "Am I dead?" And there's no, "Oh, we crap."
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. What?
And then couldn't move really much at all at the time. So she just kind of explained to me what happened and what was, obviously, I got the bag and spent a few days, the weekend at A&E. I remember watching the Walker Cup at the time in the high dependency unit. I remember Paul Dunn was playing for GB&I. Sadly, he's disappeared really off the golf scene now, really funny enough. But yeah, went down to the ward, adjusted to life with the bag. Spent about 3 weeks because I was so skinny and weak. Like, I'd gone under 5 stone then at that time because I hadn't eaten in 2-3 days, and that it built me up, and I eventually got back out of the hospital and just started recovering then at home.
Wow, that's that's quite a story. That's why I thought you'd be great for the podcast, because it's an extraordinary story. And losing what was it, 4 stone? 4 stone, yeah. Going from something like 9 to 5 or something like that is absolutely incredible. And I'm not surprised that you felt incredibly just no energy, no appetite, no anything. So from there, obviously you get the bag, and having read your article in the Irish Times, you kind of said that you went into a bit of denial with it and sort of went, right, I've got this, but was in sort of a little bit of denial with it. How did that feel sort of originally, then realising you have the bag?
Well, I remember first when I met the Solomon nurse in the ward, and didn't want to change the bag at all. I didn't want anything to do with it, really. She was actually quite good with me. She was also, funny enough, she was a golfer. She just started playing golf herself at the time, this nurse, and actually became quite pally with her over the years. And she kind of just like reassured me, like, it's either like, this bag or you'll be dead. So like, what do you want to do? And I remember at the time, I was only 19 and I was going through all this at the time. I was still more or less, I was still a kid basically, in reality. And I just remember growing up so fast in those, and that month I was in that hospital, because you see some frightening things when you're in a hospital ward, especially very serious surgical wards, which is the 2 wards I was going to and from. Like I remember watching someone die I saw him through the curtains die to the left of me one night. And like I didn't know him at all, but I still think about him all the time. But just because, like, you know, if you think about it, like, your life can be gone in the blink of an eye, like, you know. And
Sure.
And I never even knew his name or nothing. And just going back to the nurse now, I'm just like, oh, it's really easy to change. Like, you don't notice how to do it at all. And like now, like when I change the bag, I can do it in like under 30 seconds. Like, it's so quick. I remember before I used to, like, you know, when you find your way of changing the bag, and like that's like half the battle. And if you find a bag that works for you that doesn't leak, that's even better, because you're not worrying about the bag leaking or having to know where public toilets are here and there. And because originally I thought I was going to get mine reversed, but then when we probably get into it a bit later on, I also have Crohn's disease as well, which they don't offer a lot of pouches to people with Crohn's disease. They do to some people, but not a lot. And unfortunately, my condition was so bad, it was never offered to me then once they knew I had Crohn's disease. And then at the time then, when that happened, I was so used. That was about 9 months later or so, when they told me I wasn't getting the bag. And at the time I was really upset about it, because I thought obviously I was going to have to like get a bit more normality back and have my bum working again and all this, and not have the bag. But eventually you just kind of think, you know, it becomes second nature to you, and you have to realise, like, you know, it's either the bag or you're dead, or you just have to kind of get on with it, really. You know, just have to accept it. Like, you know, you kind of have to accept what happened. And like, you know, you think, why me? Why does it happen to me? Because I always, like, you know, I don't even drink or smoke or I've never done drugs or anything like that. And like, I always been classed as quite a healthy person. And I think something this seriously medical happened to me was always quite hard to accept. But eventually you move on, and time is a great healer for anything. And you just have to kind of put your big boy panties on and get on with it, really.
True. Yeah.
So
when you had obviously the first initial diagnosis, and then you were then sort of hit with the diagnosis of Crohn's. How long was it between the 2 diagnoses?
And so the original diagnosis was started 2015, and then the second one was April 2016. So about a year and 3 months or so. See, what happened was around March 2016, my bag wasn't working at all. There was no output coming out. It was all coming up and out this way, which was lovely. Yeah, lovely experience. So another trip to A&E, and again, they did every test under they could do. Like, they even put a camera in through my stomach and had a look in there, but they couldn't get very far. Obviously, and they went back down this way and tried to still, they couldn't see anything that was like, they thought there might have been, like, say, something obstructing it or something. So eventually they had to do another surgery, and obviously they cut out the part about a few more inches and then brought out a new stoma. And then when I went back for my first checkup, they saw there was Crohn's disease in my small bowel as well. Because like what happened was the bowel was being blocked, so it was getting there, and it was not getting through to where the output comes out. So it was reverting back up this way and out. So when I diagnosed with Crohn's disease again, and at the time I didn't think too much of it. Then when I went back a few weeks later to see the surgeons about it, that's when it kind of hit me how serious it was, because I had to. He told me then he couldn't offer me a pouch and reverse the bag, which was quite hard to hear at the time. Because again, still only 19 at this stage, which was a hard 19. I was still only 19, so it was quite hard to hear then again. And then eventually you just kind of like, you adapt to it, you get on. Because then at that stage, I didn't have another surgery for a year and a half, so life kind of progressed, and like say, the golf progressed really well. And by the time I came to have my third surgery, I think I was playing up scratch or 1 or 2 or something like that. So I was kind of starting to think maybe this could be something I could do. And so yeah, because when I started out with Crohn's, I was put on injections, called Humira. You just inject your thighs once every 2 weeks, it was. And yeah, that kept me all really kind of at bay until I had the third surgery, really. All was kind of, no issues with the bag or problems with Crohn's disease was. Like, besides having the 3 surgeries, I've been relatively well besides eating surgery. So I'm either really well or I need surgery. That seems to be how it goes. But thankfully now I'm 7 years without surgery, which is good for me.
It's great news. No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So all throughout this time, so throughout the 3 surgeries in between sort of 17, 18, 19 years of age, you're still trying to become a professional golfer also at this time. Are you also working at the golf club as well? And how's that sort of all going?
Well, at the time, I actually moved golf clubs to a different golf club to the original one that I started at. Because at the time, the golf club I started at was a bit of a short course. It wasn't too long, and my game was progressing so much I needed a bigger course for a challenge. Yeah, so I was just like kind of dealing with recovering from surgeries and playing golf where I could and practice and go to the gym when I could here and there. And but originally when I had my third surgery in 2017, I had a hernia next to my sternum and it burst. Well, I didn't know it had burst at the time. I remember even going to Madrid at the time for one of those classic goals, which I mentioned. And the hernia had burst. I was like in a lot of pain, but like my pain threshold, I've been told, is so good, I don't really notice pain much anymore. So I was going, this will pass. And then all of a sudden, then the bag wasn't working again, and everything was coming back up this way again. So that's when I knew I had to go in again to A&E and go through all that stuff again from A&E into the hospital. And again, they didn't know what was wrong. They didn't realize the hernia. They knew there was a hernia there, but they didn't know it burst because I was in pain, but I was able to handle it. So eventually they did another surgery. They saw, hernia burst, and they put a stitch over it to help it, and they formed a new stoma, and everything was working fine through then. And then after that, I didn't go back golfing for a good 4 months or so. I felt like my body needed more time to recover, and at the time I did want to go back, but I was being that time of year in Ireland, the weather isn't encouraging you to play much. So
I know that feeling.
So it was a good plan for me to take a bit of time out and just let my body recover and go back. And then when I went back, I struggled with my game for a long time, for about a year or two. Like I just couldn't seem to get feeling back in my swing. I couldn't get the club in positions where I wanted to on my backswing, I was just struggling with energy. So I was so drained of energy all the time. Well, obviously I've had 3 surgeries in that space of time. Your body needs a lot of time to recover. But then eventually looking back on it, I think I turned pro maybe a bit too early, maybe a year or 2 early. I did, but I think at that time I needed something to push myself. At the time I was just like, so if you look at amateur golf in Ireland, it's quite weak, it's quite boring, it's something really exciting about it. Like they've maybe 4 or 5 good elite competitions a year for amateurs a year, and then the rest are just like rubbish. And even the ones those elite tournaments aren't great standard either. Look, standard of golf in Ireland isn't the best, to be honest. And then like I've been struggling around the mini tours then for a few years, and obviously we had to be COVID that hit that wrecked one of the years altogether. So I've had a lot of disruptions to my golf since I started playing, obviously with surgeries and COVID and that. So I'm just hoping now with this, after, like I told you earlier, I moved to Spain here 5 months ago now, and just settling in. And hopefully I'll be not having to go through a harsh winter for the year will help my body be more prepared to play every year, and hopefully we'll have a good year this year.
Fantastic. So with the, just to pick up on what you said there, with the 4 months off, was that sort of a doctor's orders, or was that your own feeling how your body feels and thinking, well, I need this time off?
And it was more, I think originally he wanted me to take 6 to 8 weeks off after the surgery, but then I felt like I needed a bit more time just to not just recover physically, but mentally. I was gone. I was strained from all that. I've been going to hospital and seeing what you see in a hospital and going through what you go through, especially at a young age. But then it came a time when I felt I wanted to get back out and play, and like I'm always an outdoor person. I struggle to stay indoors for too long, to be honest. So yeah, like they say you should always wait about 6 to 8 weeks after any abdominal surgery to go back to any sort of physical sport. Like you say, not many people who have the surgeries that I've had, they sport at the level that I do, which is obviously has a higher impact on your body than, say, amateur level sport. But I even find when obviously your core area can be so weak after surgery that they say it's never the same again, which it isn't, where your scar is. Obviously it'd be a bit weak, but you can make it as strong as you can, and you can adapt to how you use that area. Like I do a lot of Pilates to strengthen my core. And like that was kind of recommended to me one time after I had the scar nurse. No, it's not the scar nurse. The scar nurse was coming to my house to change my dressings every few days after one of the surgeries that she recommended to me. And a friend of mine who lives across the road from me at the time she's a personal trainer, and I got her to do it, and she was really good with me. She knew me for years, obviously, and she worked out a good plan for me, and I still do the same stuff say and works for me. And so one thing I always recommend to most people who ask me for advice about what they do after surgery is strengthen your core as best you can. Start there and work onwards.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, because I'd imagine, obviously having surgeries myself, you can feel a little bit apprehensive about doing anything that involves core strength, and almost every sport I can think of involves some sort of core strength. So it can be a little bit apprehensive getting back to it. And it obviously sounds like you had great support around you and great people around you that you could trust, rely on, then to get that core strength back. And you seem when I've talked to you, very positive, very resilient person. Do you think that that's helped you, or how has that helped you in your sporting career?
Well, I've always been quite driven, no matter what sport I played, whether it was football or golf, and I always felt like it kind of like if you just keep, like, you know, it's, as I say to a lot of people, like, this is the only life you get. There's no second go around. Well, at least that we know of.
Well, you seem to when you woke up on the operating table, you tend to have a second go around there.
Yeah, others different, like Andy 2.0.
Yeah.
But like you have to just make the best of what you got, and like, you know, it's like say for me, like it's like sport can be a great it's great for like forgetting about your problems in, you know, medical problems, or say some of the problems at home or at work or whatever. Like, you know, you can like when I'm out playing and practicing, I completely forget about my back, surgeries, IBD, all this stuff. So yeah, that's like, even for other people who just want to get out, forget about like, going through a bit of a crappy time, but in and out of the hospital every second, third week, they don't know what's going on with me. It's like, it plays on your mind a lot, especially after a surgery when you have all the time in the world to think.
Yeah.
There's only so much crappy TV you can watch and think, oh, geez, this is pure shit. I remember watching Total Divas when I was after one of my surgeries. You know, the professional wrestlers.
Oh yeah.
It was fucking muck. It was.
That's very, very on point with the WrestleMania coming in tomorrow.
Yeah, I actually watched it last night. I look forward to it now, and hopefully be a good show.
Yeah. Not Total Divas though. I think that was total crap.
That was a
I hope it's still going.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I think I was more to it. Like, I really fancied Paige for years. Remember Paige?
Oh yes, yeah. Well, she's not too far from where I am, Norwich.
Oh, isn't it? Oh
no, she was Norwich, so yeah, she's not too far.
A friend of mine plays for Ipswich, Dominic Ball.
Oh yes. Yeah, they're playing Ipswich v Norwich today, actually.
Oh, state
Local derby.
There'll be a couple of fights at that one in the car park.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But yeah, so like stuff like that, watching crappy TV and that, it's not really good for you in the long haul as well. So you need to find, like, sport can be a great relief, or even going for a walk with the dog is great. And I always say the best therapist has 4 legs and a tail and doesn't talk back.
Yeah. So with my dog that I look after, she's fantastic.
Yeah, just being like, you have to, like I was saying about being resilient, you just have to take the punches as you go and throw a few back and just see where it takes you, really.
Definitely. And just lastly, from me, plans for the future for Andy. What do they look like?
Well, this year I'll be playing mostly in England on the Clutch Tour. And the schedule's been a bit mixed up now in the last few weeks. There's been a lot of changes to it, so I can't say exactly when I'm playing at the moment. And unfortunately, I tried the Alps Tour Q School in November, and I injured my knee quite badly at that, and I had to pull out after the first round, which I didn't play overly well in the first round anyway, because I couldn't move my knee properly. And so I will prefer to play on the Alps Tour this year, but playing on the Clutch now the last few years, I'm going to just continue playing on that year and see what happens this year on it. And obviously I'll be tracking back and forth from Spain to England, which be a bit different, but it's good. It's better than living in Ireland, I tell you.
Brilliant. And just very finally, where can people follow your golfing career? Where can people follow that?
The best way to follow me would be on Instagram now. I'm not as active on it as I would like to be. I always try to tell myself to be a bit more active on it, but I just either forget when I'm practicing to post stuff, or I just completely forget. So I'm on Instagram at andyb.96 if anyone wants to have a look at how the year is going during the summer, how the golf's going, or if anyone wants to contact me for IBD related questions or surgeries, or I also repost a lot of stuff from a lot of people online who use great support community now for IBD on Instagram. Back when I was originally diagnosed, that was something that was lacking quite a lot, because social media hadn't really taken off the way it has now. But now there's a great community online where you can find advice from anyone, and a lot of people are very supportive, and they give you little ideas here and there about how to treat yourself or look after yourself. Because I find some of the best advice I've gotten that I still use today is from other people with IBD. It's not the doctors and nurses. So it's better talking to someone who's going through the same stuff as you compared to a doctor. Because as I found out during COVID, when I actually had issues with my care when I was changing medication, at the end of the day, to a doctor, you're only really a number. So it's more the people who have the same problems that you will be more liable to give you better advice. And so Instagram now is a great one. Fine, there's lots of people who will give you, who have bags or who don't have bags, and give you advice on, say, how to change your bag, new bags coming out always, and like say you just support belts for playing sport, or even if you're changing medication, and you're a bit afraid of, like, oh, I'm not sure what's going to be like for me, or there's lots of people out there who were on there's a lot of new meds coming out called biosimilars, who were quite similar to drugs they were in the past, but they're a bit cheaper to manufacture and use today, and people can be very wary about going on them. So there's always someone out there who's going through the same as you, and who can give you a bit of advice on new meds or anything IBD related.
Brilliant. Well, just for me, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. I want to thank you ever so much for your time, and wish you every luck for your future career.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, thanks for having me. It was great to come on, have a little chat about, reminisce about the past. Yeah, it's funny, you look back on this and you think, geez, it's been so long. Like, I don't think about it much anymore. Like, the surgery, so it's so long ago. But it's gas to come, not gas, but it's good to look back and see how far you've come in certain situations, Yeah, so yeah, thanks for inviting me on and having me. And I see you must be a Newcastle fan. I've only just noticed
I am, yes, the St James's Park in the background.
Yeah,
that's Newcastle shirts.
Bit of an uppy down season this season for you.
That's, one way of putting it. If we can just put 11 players out on the field without being injured, that would be fantastic.
That would help a lot. Some injuries this year, it's actually unbelievable. Like, it's funny, last week I put Gordon into my fantasy football team. I was delighted when he got 3 assists and he got sent off. Oh, geez, I was fucking swearing at him. I was.
You're kicking the ball away as well. You couldn't be more stupid.
Well, it was so obvious. Well,
it was. I mean, if you could, and also it was a tap away. If you're going to kick the ball away, like, boot it out the stadium. Do something properly. But
and even his first foul was a stupid foul to give away. Like, there was 2 or 3 Newcastle players covering the space where the West Ham. Actually, that was actually one of the best games of the season last season. That one last week against West Ham.
Yeah. Well, it was because we won. But yeah, I was 3-1 down.
Oh, well, for me, like a neutral watching the English League, I don't support any English team. I just support Real Madrid.
Yes.
When I watch the English League, besides when the only 2 teams I hate in England are Man City and Liverpool. All the other teams I don't mind at all. No, they don't bother me.
Because they're successful, or any other reason?
Well, I hate Man City because they're very Barcelona orientated, especially there.
Yeah.
And I remember years ago when Madrid beat Liverpool in Kiev in the first Champions League final, we beat them in. And for years, not months, not weeks, years, I had Liverpool fans in me. Oh, well, if Sergio Ramos didn't injure Salah, we would have won. It's wonderful. Like, the result was the result. And over the years, we've beaten Liverpool so many times. It's just been so therapeutic, should we say, just to rub it in their faces. As I said, we beat Liverpool so badly last season, we sent them to the Europa League.
Well, we got the Champions League spot, so that was great.
You'd be in the groups. I know he's came up short at the end, but geez, that win against PSG was some win. And then I think you sort of done a little bit in the second game against PSG. I don't think that wasn't a penalty at all. When your man was going, that was bollocks.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, a bit of a very unusual season from Newcastle this season.
Yeah, injuries. We need to go and spend more of that 300 billion or whatever we've got and sitting in the bank account that we can't spend. From what I understand.
Even this year, like, you will probably finish outside of the European places this year, so not having as many games next season, get the squad back together, few new players in. Like, you will probably need a centre back this year.
Yeah, no,
Dan Burn is playing there for the first time in 4 years.
Yeah. No, we just haven't got any left, unfortunately. But we'll see how we do later on against Fulham.
Yeah. yeah, Fulham are very hot and cold, so, and he's acting in good form, so you never know, it could be a good week.
Awesome. Thank you ever so much for your time.
Yeah, no problem, Tom. Yeah, it was very, very nice to chat and talk about what golf, football, and IBD. It's all important.
Absolutely.